blessed and wonderful life, my dear learners. Every day is such a great blessing from our Almighty God. Therefore, we must be thankful on it and use it meaningfully. Before anything else, let me introduce first myself. I am Jaybie Humarang, and you can call me Sir Jaybie or Sir Humarang, who's dedicated to encourage students' minds to think, hands to create, and hearts to love. Of course, I'll be your instructor at this moment. Now, we shouldn't prolong it any longer. Therefore, let's proceed to the lesson proper. Everyone, our topic for today is all about the nature and characteristics of social groups. Do you have any idea about it? If there's no, just keep calm, focus, listen attentively, and actively participate in our class all throughout the discussion. If you have any question, clarification, or anything to share, just raise your right hand, state your name, and proceed telling everything needed. Moving forward, when do we say social groups, it is being defined as two or more humans or a collection of people who interact with one another and share similar characteristics and collectively have a sense of unity. They also accept expectations and obligations as members of the group and share a common identity. Meaning to say, to be considered a social group, the group size must be two or more humans wherein they interact or have some connection and communication to one another. And when you're alone, definitely that cannot be considered as a social group. At the same time, a social group shares similar characteristics and collectively have a sense of unity, and that's truly important as a group. They need build a great relationship, understand each other, and most importantly, work as one. Because together, they are stronger. Also, they accept expectations and obligations as the members of the group and share common identity. And we should know that since it is a social group, we need to be aware about our responsibilities in a certain group where we belong and portray it appropriately and continuously share everything in common in a proper way for the betterment of all. Now, what are the common examples of social groups? There are several social groups, and some common social groups are a family living in a home, a group of employees work in the same organization, a group of classmates, a group of members of a meeting, circle of friends, local religious congregations, and so on. Furthermore, there were several types of social groups depending on different bases. Right now, I will discuss the types of social groups on the basis of contact and on the basis of identification. On the basis of contact, we have two types such as primary groups and secondary groups. While on the basis of identification, there are two types as well, which includes in groups and out groups. On the basis of contact, when we say contact, it is a state or condition of communicating or on how often we see or having physical contact to the people or group, and thus one of the bases for types of social groups. Let's make it more clear and specific. The first one under the basis of contact is primary groups. A primary group is typically a small social group whose members share common personal and enduring relationships. Example of this would be families, close friends, neighborhood, peers, love relationships, and etc. Relationships formed in primary groups are often long-lasting and goals in themselves. They also are often comforting to the individuals involved and provide a source of support and encouragement. Next on the basis of contact is secondary groups. Secondary groups are large groups whose relationships are impersonal and goal-oriented. The relationships are temporary. At the same time, secondary relationships involve weak emotional ties and little personal knowledge of one another. In contrast to primary groups, secondary groups don't have the goal of maintaining and developing the relationships themselves. The relationships are generally temporary rather than long-lasting. There is comparatively less face-to-face interaction. Some types of relationships that constitute under secondary groups are zookeeper-customer relation, a patient-doctor relation, an advocate-client relation, a teacher-student relation, a candidate-voter relation, and so on. At this point, let's jump or proceed on the basis of identification. In this basis, they focus on identification or the action or process of identifying someone or something or the fact of being identified. Particularly, our social identities are race, ethnicity, gender, social class, socioeconomic status, sexual orientation, abilities or disabilities, religion or religious beliefs, and etc. And here, it is classified into two types, the in-groups and out-groups. Let's give attention first in-groups. In-groups are social groups to which an individual feels he or she belongs. In-groups refers to the group you belong to and identify with them. Your group is interacting with one another or another group. A group to which we directly belong. It can be our family, tribe, sex, occupation, games, or interest group. For example, I am a player of cricket team. My cricket team is an in-group for me. A religious group is an in-group for its followers. A geographical community is an in-group for its residents. The term in-group is used when an individual wants to identify himself with a group or show an association with this group, such as by saying, we are Americans, we are Filipinos, we are English, we are Christians, we are Muslims, we are students, we are doctors, we are musicians. The members of an in-group have a sense of we feeling and belongingness towards their in-group. On the other side, an out-group conversely is a group someone doesn't belong to. Often we may feel disdain or competition in relationship to an out-group. And this type of group or the out-group, of course, it is the opposite of in-groups, wherein it is a group where we feel not belong because of the similarities. A group to which we do not belong is called an out-group. It can be any groups of others or not ours, including a family, tribe, ethnicity, sex, occupations, or interest groups of the others. For example, if I am a student of education, the students of education are in group for me. But the students of any other discipline or programs, just like customs, psychology, hospitality management, and etc., are an out group for me because they have their own identification that suits to them where I not belong. The term outgroup is used to distinguish one's identity from that of others or to compare one's identity to that of others, such as by saying we are Filipinos, that's an in-group, and they are Indians, that's our out-group. We are Christians, in-group again, and they are Muslim, out-group. We are educators, that's my in-group, and they are engineers, that's the out-group by mine. There is a sense of deep feeling in relationship to an out-group. To sum up everything that has been stated so far, we have discussed the nature and characteristics of social groups, wherein social groups is being defined again as two or more humans or a collection of people who interact with one another and share similar characteristics and collectively have a sense of unity. They also accept expectations and obligations as members of the group and share a common identity. Then, there are several types of social groups depending on different bases. On the basis of contact, we have two types, such as primary groups, and secondary groups. While on the basis of identification, there are two types as well, which includes the in-groups and out-groups. And there you have it! I hope you've learned a lot from our discussion, where you can use in the present times and up to the future. Once again, I am your teacher Jaybie, who encourages students' minds to think, hands to create, and hearts to love. In the end, I would like to say that keep it into your mind that nothing can stop us from learning, nothing can hinder us from dreaming, and nothing can block our way to success. That will be all. Thank you so much. Keep safe and God bless everyone.